Hey there, coin lovers. What if I told you there's a penny out there that could be worth a mind-blowing $1 million? Yep, you heard that right, a single penny could make you a millionaire. Sounds too good to be true, right? But trust me, it's not a joke. So, grab a snack, settle in, and let's dive into the fascinating world of rare pennies and why one in particular could be sitting in your pocket right now. Alright, so we're talking about an Abraham Lincoln penny, but not just any penny. We're talking about a very special one minted in 2009, the year of Lincoln's bicentennial, celebrating 200 years since the man, the legend, the top hat aficionado was born. This particular penny, produced in limited quantities and with a few little quirks, is now worth a ton of money, like, over $1 million. Now, I can already hear some of you thinking, okay, but I've got a ton of pennies from 2009 in my coin jar. How do I know if one of them is worth a fortune? Good question. There are a couple of key things that set this penny apart from the hundreds of billions of other pennies out there. The most famous one is a very specific error, a 2009 Lincoln penny that was minted without a mint mark. That's right, no mint mark, which is the little letter telling you where the penny was made. Most coins from 2009 have this mint mark, so a missing one is like finding a needle in a haystack. Now, why does it matter? Well, in the world of coin collectors, rarity equals value. And if a coin is rare, the demand goes way up. It's like finding the last slice of pizza at a party, people are willing to fight for it. This penny has that same level of collector's dream energy. There aren't many of them floating around, and those that are, well, let's just say they're like gold in the coin world. So, if you're thinking, wait, I've got a 2009 penny with no mint mark in my drawer, I'd suggest you take a closer look. But don't just grab any old penny and assume it's $1 million gem. There are a few other things to check out: the quality of the coin, its condition, and whether it's been professionally graded. A coin that's been sitting in a dusty old drawer might not fetch the same price as one that's been stored in perfect condition. It's all about those fine details. Here's a little story for you. I was once at a garage sale, just casually browsing, when I found a box of old coins. I wasn't expecting much, but something caught my eye: a lone, shiny penny. I remember thinking, this could be it. The one. I quickly pocketed it, half expecting to find a rare 2009 Lincoln-era penny. But after a little research, and a lot of disappointment, I realized it wasn't quite the treasure I thought it was. It was still a cool find, though, and that's the thing with coins: sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. The moral of the story? Don't just rely on hope, get informed. So, what have we learned today? That those old pennies in your drawer just might be worth more than their face value, like, a lot more. If you've got a 2009 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, congratulations, you could be sitting on a goldmine. But before you start spending all that sweet cash, make sure you know what you're dealing with. Get it checked, get it graded, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next $1 million penny owner. If you're into coins, treasure hunts, or just love the idea of stumbling upon something amazing, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more tips on finding rare coins and all kinds of strategies for making money from your collection. You never know what you might find in your change, and if you're like me, you'll want to make sure you know exactly what to look for. Do you have a pile of old pennies lying around? Well, you might want to dig through them again, because there's one penny that could be worth more than your entire lunch bill, by a lot. In fact, one penny in particular is worth a whopping $1.1 million. Yes, you heard that right. So, grab your magnifying glass and maybe a snack, because you're about to learn about one of the most valuable pennies ever, and how it could make you a fortune. Alright, let's get into it. We're talking about the 1978 Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, don't start tossing your pennies just yet. This specific coin is incredibly rare, and not because it's just really old, but because of something a little more mysterious. See, most of the pennies from 1978 have a mint mark on them. This means they were produced in one of the U.S. Mint's official locations, like Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But there's a freaky deaky one from 1978 that slipped through the cracks with no mint mark. So, what's the big deal? It's a penny, right? Wrong. This little guy is as rare as a unicorn wearing a top hat. You see, it was likely a mistake, an error during production, but the rarity is what makes it so valuable. Think about it, one tiny minting mistake, and suddenly, this penny is worth more than a year's supply of coffee at your local cafe. Imagine finding one of these by mistake while sifting through change. Now, before you start running to your wallet to check every penny, let me tell you that not every coin from 1978 is going to be this goldmine. Most of them are pretty standard, but that one special error coin can fetch up to a cool $1.1 million at auction. That's more than enough to buy a new car, or get a house, or maybe just treat yourself to a really fancy dinner at a place where the napkins are actually cloth. You won't find these in regular change piles unless you're really lucky. They're super rare, and you've got to know what to look for. It's all about the details. First, check the mint mark or lack thereof. If you find a 1978 penny without any mint mark, hold on to it and don't toss it like a regular coin, especially if it looks in pretty good condition. The higher the grade, the more money it's worth, so treat it like you're holding onto a winning lottery ticket. Okay, but let's be honest, how likely are you to find a $1.1 million penny? Probably not super likely, right? Well, don't get discouraged. There are plenty of other rare pennies out there, like the 1943 copper penny, that are worth way more than face value. And just like this 1978 penny, they're all about catching that rare production mistake or an oddity. I used to think my coin collection was a total waste of time. I remember a few years back, my grandpa gave me a jar of pennies he'd saved up over the years. I rolled my eyes, thinking I had to save this junk for some reason. Well, I finally went through them one day and found some pretty old ones that were worth way more than I ever expected. I was laughing at myself for not checking sooner, but I definitely learned my lesson. And now, whenever I go to a store and get pennies in my change, I'm looking at those tiny coins like they're gold, so, don't be like my past self. Start checking your pennies. Who knows, you might just stumble across the next $1 million treasure in your pocket change. Now that you're armed with this info, go ahead and start inspecting those pennies like a pro. If you find one that might be worth something, make sure to get it appraised by a professional coin expert so you know exactly what you've got. You never know, your next penny could be the one that changes everything. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins and all the sneaky ways you can make money from your change, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty of tips and tricks up my sleeve to help you discover coins worth way more than you think. And hey, who wouldn't want to find a few $1 million pennies along the way? So, you've probably heard of some rare coins being worth a small fortune, but did you ever think a penny could make you a millionaire? Yeah, you heard that right. A penny, a single little copper coin, could be worth over $1 million. Stick with me, because I'm about to tell you about a 1969 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny that's worth a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. And trust me, this is no joke. Alright, let's break it down. You're probably looking at your spare change right now and wondering if you have a hidden treasure in there. Well, not all pennies are created equal, but there's one in particular that will have you checking every 1969 penny you come across. Most coins you find in your pocket are worth exactly 1 cent. But every once in a while, something special slips through the cracks. Enter the 1969 D Lincoln penny. Now, what makes this coin so special? It has an error that turns it into something legendary. You see, in 1969, the Denver Mint accidentally struck a small batch of pennies with a doubling error. This means that the words and numbers on the coin, like Liberty and the year 1969, are doubled, not just once, but twice. It's like if you were seeing double, but in a good way. And when you find one of these beauties, you're looking at a coin that's worth much, much more than just a penny. But hold on, I can already hear you asking, how do I know if I've got one of these $1 million coins? Well, it's all about that doubling. The 1969 D penny with the most famous error has a distinct doubling on the date and the word liberty. So if you find a 1969 penny with this doubling, you found something super rare. And trust me, it's a game changer. Okay, so how much is this thing really worth? Well, the highest known sale of a 1969 D double die penny was for $1.2 million. That's right, a penny. It's one of those rare finds that make you want to check your change every time you stop by the coffee shop. In fact, that's exactly what happened to me. I remember once, I was rummaging through my coin jar, you know, the one where you throw your loose change and forget about it for months. I came across this old coin, and I swear I could feel it glowing. My heart was racing. It wasn't a 1969 penny, but I had one of those "I'm about to be rich" moments. Long story short, it was just an old penny. But hey, it was a good feeling for a few seconds. Now, I'm sure you're wondering if this is something everyone will just randomly find. Sadly, no. But it's a great reason to start checking your change more closely. Not every 1969 penny is worth a fortune, but finding that one rare gem could be life-changing. And you won't know unless you look. Check your pennies, and be sure to keep an eye out for that 1969 D double die error. If you stumble upon one, you could be holding on to a small fortune, maybe even enough to buy yourself a nice vacation or a new car, or, pay off a mortgage. And look, I get it, the odds are slim. But finding a rare coin could be the one in a million moment that changes everything. If you want more tips on coins that could be worth big bucks, hit that subscribe button. Who knows what treasure might be hiding in your pocket next? Keep searching, keep checking, and you might just stumble upon a fortune. And who knows, I'll be here with more tips to help you on your coin hunting journey. Hey, do you ever find yourself rummaging through your spare change, hoping you might find a hidden gem? Maybe a rare penny? Well, I've got news for you, those little copper coins are not just pocket change. In fact, one specific penny from 1964 could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.3 million. Sounds crazy, right? But it's true. Stick with me, because this is going to be a fun ride, and you might just be looking at your penny jar a whole lot differently after this. Alright, let's get into it. The 1964 D Lincoln penny. Why is it so special? Well, this penny isn't just any regular coin. It's a minting error, something rare and unique, and that's what makes it worth so much. Most of the pennies from that year are your typical, everyday copper coins. But some 1964 D pennies were made with a double die error, which means the date on the coin is doubled. That slight misstep in the minting process made these pennies incredibly rare. So rare, in fact, that some collectors will pay top dollar for one in good condition. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The $1.3 million value isn't some inflated, what-if number. A 1964 D penny with that double die error has been sold for that amount in the past. And while not every 1964 D penny will fetch that kind of money, even one in good condition could bring in hundreds of thousands. Imagine finding one of these in your loose change. It's like winning the lottery, but without having to pick the right numbers. Here's the thing though, most of us don't just stumble upon a $1.3 million penny. And even if you think you have one, you want to make sure it's actually the real deal before you get too excited. So, what do you look for? First off, you want to check for that double die error. The date on these coins will appear slightly doubled, so if you look closely, you'll see two slightly separated 1964 digits. It's a subtle thing, but once you spot it, you'll know you've got something special. I've been there before, digging through a pile of old coins, hoping to find something valuable. I once thought I had discovered a rare coin. Turns out, it was just an old, worn-out penny from 1995. Trust me, the disappointment is real. But on the flip side, I've also come across a few coins in my collection that made me feel like I was sitting on a gold mine. So, the moral of the story? Don't give up. Keep checking those pennies, dimes, quarters, anything could be worth something. Now, let's talk about what makes these pennies so appealing to collectors. It's not just about the rarity, it's about the history. People love owning a piece of history, and a rare 1964 penny is like holding a small moment in time. The mistake that led to these coins being created is part of their story, and that's what adds to their value. It's the thrill of finding something that not only has monetary worth but also carries a sense of excitement and nostalgia. So, if you've got a penny jar sitting around, now's the time to take a closer look. Who knows, you might have a $1 million coin hiding in there. And even if you don't, it's always fun to learn more about these treasures that could be right under your nose. If you want more tips on coins that are worth money or strategies for finding hidden gems in your change, hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty of other cool insights coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss out. Hey, you ever wondered if that pile of pennies you have lying around could actually be worth more than a trip to the coffee shop? Well, buckle up, because today we're talking about one particular penny that could make you a fortune, and no, I'm not talking about finding one in your couch cushions. I'm talking about a rare 1968 Abraham Lincoln penny that could be worth up to $1.4 million. Sounds wild, right? But let me tell you, this penny could be the golden ticket you've been waiting for. Alright, let's dive into this. You've probably got some pennies that have been sitting in your drawer forever, right? You know, the ones you collected from your kid's piggy bank or your random change jar. Well, what if I told you that one of those could potentially make you richer than your wildest dreams? Now, most of us know that pennies aren't exactly worth much. They're pretty much the pocket lint of coins, small, kind of annoying, and mostly ignored. But here's the thing, not all pennies are created equal. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare gems, a 1968 Abraham Lincoln penny without a mint mark, you could be sitting on a goldmine. So what makes this penny so special? It's the fact that it was minted without the D or S mint mark. Typically, pennies have a mint mark indicating where they were made, either in Denver or San Francisco. But in 1968, some of those pennies were accidentally produced without any mint mark at all. These error coins are as rare as a unicorn, and collectors go absolutely bonkers over them. And get this, the value? Oh, it's no small change, pun intended. A 1968 penny without a mint mark can fetch up to $1.4 million, depending on its condition. Yep, you heard me right, $1.4 million. So, if you happen to have one lying around, maybe you want to take a second look. You never know, your spare change might just be worth more than your car. Now, I'm not saying you should go emptying out all your pockets, checking every single penny, and holding on to them forever, but it's definitely worth a shot. And even if you don't have a 1968 era penny, there are other rare coins out there that could be worth a small fortune. The key is knowing what to look for. Here's a little story. A few years back, I was cleaning out my garage, and I found an old jar of coins that I had completely forgotten about. At first, I thought, well, this is just junk change. But, out of curiosity, I decided to take it to a local coin dealer. And to my surprise, some of the coins turned out to be worth way more than I thought. Nothing quite as spectacular as a $1.4 million penny, but hey, it's always nice to find some hidden treasure. So, take a moment to go through your change jars. You might be sitting on something valuable. Alright, so here's the deal, if you come across a 1968 penny with no mint mark, you've got yourself a potential goldmine. Keep your eyes peeled, check your change, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next lucky one to cash in on a rare coin. But don't just stop there, there are tons of other coins out there that could be worth serious money, and I'm here to help you spot them. If you found this information helpful, or just plain fun, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got more tips, tricks, and coin secrets coming your way that could help you turn your change jar into a fortune. Stay tuned for more, and remember, sometimes, the smallest things can be worth the most. You've just found an old penny in your pocket, thinking it's nothing more than pocket change. But what if I told you that penny could be worth a small fortune? In fact, there's one particular penny, the 1973 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, that could be worth a mind-blowing $1.5 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A penny. A whole $1.5 million. You might want to start checking those jars of change. Let's dive into this crazy penny story. So, you've probably got a ton of pennies lying around. Heck, most of us do. Some end up collecting dust in jars, while others mysteriously vanish down couch cushions. But the thing is, not all pennies are created equal. While most pennies are worth, well, a penny, some can fetch you serious money, and today, we're talking about one in particular, the 1973 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Now, if you're thinking, wait, a penny from 1973, you're probably picturing a shiny copper penny with a pretty standard Lincoln portrait. And you're not wrong. But here's where it gets interesting. The 1973 D penny, which was minted in Denver, is part of a very rare group of pennies. Not every 1973 D penny is worth a fortune, but if it's in the right condition, say, an uncirculated state or with a unique error, it can be worth far more than you ever imagined. How much more? Well, we're talking about a potential market value of up to $1.5 million. Yep, $1 million for a little copper coin. Now, you're probably wondering, how on earth does that happen? Well, let me break it down. In the world of coin collecting, rarity and condition are everything. The 1973 D penny didn't have a massive mintage, which is why it's rare. Add to that the fact that some of them were struck with errors, like double dies or other funky minting flaws, and now you've got a collector's dream. People who specialize in rare coins are constantly on the hunt for pennies like this, and if you've got one in your collection, you could be sitting on a goldmine. Let me tell you a quick personal story. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale, just browsing through a box of old coins, when I came across a couple of pennies. At first glance, they looked pretty ordinary. But one of them caught my eye. It was from 1973, just like the penny we're talking about. Now, I didn't think it was anything too special, but I kept it around for a few years just in case. One day, I decided to do a little research and came across this crazy story about the 1973 D penny being worth millions. I rushed to check my coin, but unfortunately, it wasn't one of those rare error coins. It was just a regular penny. But the lesson here? Never underestimate a coin. You just never know when you'll come across something valuable. So, what's the takeaway here? Keep an eye out for your old pennies, especially if they're from 1973 and have that D mint mark. Of course, not every penny from that year is worth $1 million, but you never know. If you come across a rare one with the right condition or error, you could be in for a nice surprise. And even if your pennies aren't worth that much, hey, it's still fun to look, right? Before you go running off to search through every drawer in your house, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and insider strategies on how to spot coins that are actually worth some serious cash. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on any of these hidden gems. Do you have any pennies lying around? I bet you think they're just, well, pennies, small, not worth much, and something you throw in the jar for laundry day. But what if I told you that one particular penny could make you a millionaire? No joke. Imagine finding a single penny worth $1.6 million just sitting in your pocket or buried in your couch cushions. Sounds crazy, right? But it's true. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most famous pennies in the world, the 1964 Abraham Lincoln penny, the rarest of them all. Buckle up because by the end of this, you might just want to go hunting for pennies in your spare time. Let's start with the basics. Most pennies you find today are worth, well, a penny. But here's where things get interesting. Not all pennies are created equal. If you've got a 1964 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark, that's right, no mint mark at all, you could be holding a coin worth a fortune. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, I've got a bunch of pennies from 1964. Are they worth $1 million? Let me clear that up. The 1964 penny, as a rule, isn't worth millions. But there's something about a particular variation of this coin, the 1964 no mint mark penny, that makes it a game changer. These pennies were produced in such small quantities that they became incredibly rare. So rare, in fact, that one just recently sold for a whopping $1.6 million. That's right, a single penny. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I know if my penny is one of these rare ones? Great question. Here's where you need to get your magnifying glass or, let's be real, your phone camera and zoom in. Take a close look at the reverse side of the coin. If there's no mint mark under the date, that's your sign. But here's the tricky part, it's not just the lack of the mint mark that makes the coin valuable, it's a whole host of other factors, including its condition and the overall rarity of finding one. Here's a little nugget of wisdom from me. When I first started collecting coins, I thought I had stumbled upon the treasure trove of the century. I found a penny in a roll, and I thought, this is it, my big break. Turns out it was a 1981 penny, not rare at all. So, let my rookie mistake be a lesson to you. It's all about knowing what you're looking for and doing a little research. The market value of a 1964 no mint mark penny fluctuates based on demand, but let's just say that when they do pop up at auction, they get the attention of serious collectors. We're talking major money here. If you happen to find one, it's time to call your local coin dealer and prepare for some life-changing news. Keep your pennies in good condition. The more pristine the coin, the higher its value. So, no tossing them around in your pocket or throwing them in a jar with a bunch of other change. Treat them like gold, well, more like million-dollar gold. So, to sum it all up, that 1964 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny could be sitting in your collection right now, worth a fortune. But don't just take my word for it, go through your spare change, check those pennies, and maybe, just maybe, you'll find the jackpot. That if you've enjoyed this little dive into the world of rare coins, trust me, you're going to want to stick around for more tips and tricks on how to spot coins that are worth serious money. There's so much out there, and we're just getting started, so, if you want to learn how to turn your pocket change into a small fortune, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Who knows? Your next find could be worth more than you ever imagined. So, you know how we all have a penny jar at home, right? Well, you might want to take another look at those dusty old coins. I'm talking about a penny, yes, a single penny, worth more than your whole coffee order for the next decade. No joke. You might just have a gold mine sitting in your pocket or your couch cushions, and today, I'm going to tell you why. Okay, let's dive in. You've probably heard about rare coins before, stuff like rare silver dollars or limited edition gold coins, but today, I'm talking about a penny. And not just any penny, but the 1994 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Sounds pretty normal, right? But let me tell you, this little guy is no ordinary copper circle. It's a total game-changer. So why is this penny so valuable? Well, it comes down to the fact that a 1994 penny with no mint mark is an incredibly rare find. You see, most pennies from that year have a mint mark, but this one, without it, is missing a tiny detail that makes it stand out. And it's this little detail that pushes its value from a 1-cent coin to an estimated $1.70 million. Yep, you heard that right. A penny worth $1.7 million. Now, don't go thinking every penny from '94 is worth that, because, like most things in life, it's all about the condition and rarity. But if you find one of these babies in pristine shape, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Now, how do you even know if your penny is one of these rare ones? You're going to want to check closely. Really closely. Look at the coin's date, and then flip it over. If you can't find a mint mark on the reverse side, congratulations. You could be holding on to a tiny treasure. If you're not sure, don't just throw it back into your jar with the other pennies. Take it to a professional for a quick look. They can help you figure out if it's the real deal. And you know what? I actually had my own penny story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my grandma's house, total mess, by the way, I don't recommend it, and came across a box full of old coins. My first thought was, hey, I'll just throw these into a coin sorter and be done with it. But then I noticed something shiny, something that looked a little off. It was a 1955 penny. But not just any 1955 penny, this was the famous double die version. I didn't think much of it at first, but a friend suggested I check it out. Long story short, I sold that penny for a pretty good amount. Moral of the story: you never know what you've got until you take a second look. So check your pennies. To wrap it all up, those old pennies you have lying around, they could be worth a lot more than you think, especially if you've got a 1994 Lincoln penny without a mint mark. If you find one, you're not just holding onto a coin, you might be holding onto a small fortune. So, before you toss your change into the jar, take a moment to inspect those pennies. You never know, you could be one of the lucky few who stumbles across a coin worth millions. If you found this video helpful and want more tips on rare coins, valuable finds, and strategies to build your own collection of treasure, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on what we've got coming up. Ever wondered if that penny you found on the ground could be worth more than a cup of coffee? Well, buckle up, because we're diving into a coin that could be sitting in your pocket right now, waiting to make you a small fortune. We're talking about the legendary 1990 Abraham Lincoln penny. And no, this isn't some shiny, limited edition thing. Nope, this one's special for a different reason, and it could be worth, hold on to your hats, $1.8 million. Yep, you heard that right. You've got a tiny copper treasure just waiting to be discovered. Let's break down why this little guy is causing such a big stir in the world of coin collectors. Alright, let's get into it. So, what's the deal with this penny? Most of us think a penny is just a penny, right? Not so fast. The 1990 Abraham Lincoln penny is worth something extraordinary, if it has no mint mark. You see, normally, the US Mint marks their coins with a letter indicating where they were made, like an D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But in 1990, there was a strange issue. A handful of pennies were struck without any mint mark at all. Now, you might be wondering, how is that even possible? Well, it turns out that a small number of these pennies slipped through the cracks and were released into circulation. And because of that, they're extremely rare. Coin collectors and investors go wild over them, and prices can reach up to $1.8 million, depending on the coin's condition. Crazy, right? But here's the kicker: these coins are harder to find than a needle in a haystack. You're not just going to walk into a coin shop and pick one up for cheap. These pennies are almost as elusive as a unicorn riding a rainbow. So, what makes this penny worth so much? Simple. It's the combination of rarity, condition, and historical oddity. Coins with mistakes, errors, or something out of the ordinary tend to be much more valuable. Think about it, a coin with no mint mark from 1990. That's like finding a hidden gem in a pile of dirt. The rarer it is, the higher the price people are willing to pay for it. Now, don't just go running to your change jar hoping to find one. If you're really serious about getting your hands on one of these rare pennies, make sure to check the quality of the coin. The best examples of this rare penny have been well preserved, free from scratches, dents, or damage. So, if you're going to find one, you'll need to do some detective work. Speaking of detective work, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I found myself digging through a massive pile of change at a yard sale. You know the kind, those old jars filled with coins that no one knows what to do with. And there I was, all excited, thinking maybe I'd find a few vintage quarters or an old buffalo nickel. But, folks, I didn't expect what came next. That I pull out this tarnished penny, give it a quick glance, and, boom, my heart skips a beat. It looked like it had no mint mark. Was it the penny? I couldn't believe it. But then, as I gave it a closer look under a magnifying glass, I realized, sadly, it wasn't quite the right one. It had a tiny D on it. Still, it made me realize that even the smallest of coins could have huge potential. It's a reminder that you never know what you might stumble upon, and the hunt is half the fun. So, if you're out there checking your pennies, don't get discouraged. You might just find a hidden treasure when you least expect it. Alright, folks, that's all for today. But before you rush off to dig through your old coin collection, remember that this 1990 no mint mark penny is out there, waiting to be found by the right collector. Who knows, you might just stumble upon one while doing your laundry, or maybe while sorting through those random jars of change. If you want more tips and tricks on spotting coins that could be worth big bucks, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on all the ways to turn your loose change into a small fortune. You know that jar of pennies you've been ignoring for years? Well, there's a chance that one of them could be worth more than your car. No, really. If you've got a 1993 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny hanging around, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. We're talking $1.9 million. Yes, you heard that right, almost $2 million from a penny. I'll break down how this all works and why you should stop throwing your spare change in the laundry and start checking your pockets instead. Let's dive in. Now, let's get into the meat of this whole situation, and I promise we'll keep it casual. You don't need to be a numismatist, that's a fancy word for coin expert, to understand what's going on here. So, what's so special about this 1993 D Lincoln penny? The story starts with the fact that most 1993 D pennies are worth, well, just a penny. A lot of them are just regular old copper, cranked out by the US Mint and handed out in change. But what makes this specific penny worth millions? Here's the deal, there are a few rare ones that were misprinted during production. We're talking about error coins, people. These mistakes were so rare that only a handful were ever made, and they slipped past quality control. Now, don't start rummaging through every coin jar just yet. To make the big bucks, the penny in question has to have some very specific characteristics. First off, it needs to have that D mint mark, which means it was made in Denver. Then, there's the condition it's in, which needs to be near perfect, no scratches, no wear, just shiny, mint condition goodness. And if you get one of these coins graded by a professional, well, that's when you can start seeing some serious value, but the real kicker is that one of these rare 1993 D pennies was sold at auction for a mind-blowing $1.9 million. That's right, a single penny sold for nearly $2 million. I mean, you could probably buy a house for that, or a really fancy dinner in a super expensive restaurant, right? Now, I know what you're thinking. How on earth do I even know if I have one of these rare pennies? Good question. You're going to want to look at your coin for things like double digits, minting errors, or unusual designs. A penny with a double die error, meaning the design was struck twice, could be your ticket to riches. Here's where things get fun. I'll be honest, I've been there. I used to just toss coins into a jar without a second thought. In fact, I found a penny once, and I almost didn't pick it up because it was all dirty and gross. It wasn't until later that I found out it had this rare error, and trust me, I felt like a complete fool for not paying more attention. If I'd known then what I know now, I could have been the one to sell it for a ton of cash. It's all about keeping an eye out for the potential hidden treasures in your change. And trust me, it's not just pennies, there are all kinds of coins out there that could be worth way more than face value. So, whether you're digging through your couch cushions, going through that old jar of coins in the closet, or even asking your grandparents if they've got any old change lying around, just remember this, that penny you toss in the trash could be worth more than your rent this month. And who doesn't want to be a coin millionaire, right? Here's the deal, if you want more tips, tricks, and the lowdown on what coins are worth money, and which ones to leave in the change jar, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't regret it. I've got plenty more stories, tips, and maybe even a few more hidden treasures up my sleeve. So go ahead, subscribe, and let's turn your spare change into something special. You never know, your next penny could be a jackpot.